thank you so much for joining me for So Zoom In. And I'm very excited because we're going to zoom in on you. I love to reach out and talk to creatives who are in the artistic creative flow, making magic happen. And that's what both of you are doing. And both of you come from entirely different backgrounds, but you're both so incredibly talented in so many ways. And you are so inspiring. And so I want to start off talking about this amazing project you guys did together and then just kind of go into.
And are doing together. It's still in motion. Still very much in motion.
I love it. Let's start off with Datgirl Serene. First of all, I love that name. And woman, you have some hot stuff online.
Thank you.
Okay. How did your film, can I talk about the title? Is it under wraps right now that you don't?
Oh, no, you should.
I think we could talk about it. We were talking about that, like what's the timing of unfolding of the information?
Oh, yeah. Definitely. Well, I feel like the title is a combination of Cate and I, because I started with a different title. And so much of our work together has been a fusion of what we both do, which has been really great. I tend to be a little bit out there, and she's helping me hone in and polish and, be more precise and not be so crazy, I guess. But that's just my take on it.
We said we both come from two completely different worlds. And I said, well, where do our tastes overlap? Like in between that, where do our tastes overlap? Because I think that's what makes a project more universal, is that you're hitting all kinds of audiences.
Yes.
Right. So that was the goal.
All right. So how did you come up with the title, The Unicorn Diaries?
So the project that I started was called the Unicorn Admirers Club. And it does lend itself to more of an ensemble piece. And then because of the narration, because we're using a lot of song lyrics and talking to the audience, breaking the fourth wall in these different ways, we were doing these sort of promotional videos for We Make Movies that were called Diaries. And so Cate really liked the Diaries theme for that. So we kind of went back and forth on titles a lot.
Like one whole session, we just did all different kinds of titles. Like we have emails of just all different kinds of titles.
Yes.
And then we came back to the diaries again, because we thought it might be something that ties the story points together, and that if there were missing transitions, we could go back to the diary entries.
Oh, that's smart. Yeah. I like that.
And it was hard to lose the unicorn theme once you got into it, because unicorns, it's not just the title it's a concept for somebody who I guess is part of threesomes, but there's so much more to it. It's like mythical creatures. I'm very much part of the rave community and, festival life. And so unicorns, glitter, rainbows, sparkly things, fun, youthful things. That's so much a part of the world that I come from and that I was writing about. So the minute that I said unicorns, people just light up, and they don't even think about the polyamory concept of it. So when we were going through these sort of more basic titles, I just kept thinking, we can't lose the unicorn. We can't lose the unicorn. And it's just become such a great theme for us.
And also the fact that there's moments of magical realism in the film to give us permission to do that. That for her to have these fantasy sequences and come back, it's sort of saying it's not a traditional, there's that little magical element.
Yeah. So how did this whole concept come up?
So I started writing a series, actually. I was working on a series Bible and a pilot for about 6 months, about 7 months before I started working with Cate. And I'm part of a film company called We Make Movies, and they were doing a Make Your Feature competition, which really kind of started through the pandemic, because all of a sudden, different people finding each other. Cate, I'll let her explain how she found the group, but this other gentleman, Rob, found the group, and he instigated this Make Your Feature competition. Saying that, make a feature for $25K, we'll have everybody pitch, and we'll do it like an incubator model.
Yeah.
Shark Tank type thing, but also incubator where we help you. We don't just give you money for winning a script, which I've really come to discover that is people always want to be involved in projects. They're not just going to write you a check. It's a very collaborative process. And so I modeled my series. I tried to cram a series into a feature, and it's a completely different structure. So I started working with Rob. He's like, well, you have some good concepts, and basically tossed that all out the window, worked with him on structure. And then through the competition, then Cate joined in, And, you know, my project didn't have a director, and she was looking for a piece to direct. There are a few pieces that didn't have one. And so, you know, Rob was like, well, I think you should get in touch with Cate. And I found out that she was not only a fantastic director, but a choreographer as well. And I was thinking, oh my God, you know, this movie could just, because of the music element, have some dance to it. And he was like, I don't think this is a dance movie. And, you know, you shouldn't maybe cater to go along with what Cate's all about. I don't even think she knows this, but I was thinking, no, I am dying to dance. Like, this would be fantastic. And he says, well, Serene, if you want to dance, dance. I'm not going to stop you. And it's so funny because we're actually working on the very last piece of the puzzle is a dance piece that we're doing. So, you know, Cate started coaching me on basically this competition, and she's a masterful coach at competitive arenas. And so, you know, I think it was great because she's such a workaholic and so am I. And so it just, you know, she kept a fantastic pace for me. You know, I'm usually not challenged enough. And in this case, it was like, okay, I think I need a day off, you know? So, and it's great because I absolutely love to be pushed. So I found that, you know, our relationship went into this just sort of like she's coaching me on the competition and, you know, getting my pitch together. And I had to do like a 3-minute pitch and, you know, hold a video and get all the text right. And, you know, she's such a stickler for details, which is great because I am too, you know, so anyway, we ended up doing this pitch together and just found through the process that I guess the project became more and more something that she became invested in, which I'll kind of let her go into that. And I think once we found our DP, Wolfie, he really kind of raised the bar because before that I wasn't coming with any crew. I was really coming very open to the process. And a lot of the other filmmaking teams, they already had everything. They're like, we're directors, we're producers, we have a whole team and da, da, da. And I think one of the things that was unique about my finding Cate, and it was that I really just sort of started very, very open. And if I could give any, you know, not advice or what kind of helped me was to be very open in the collaborative process and to, you know, that it really helps to you know, because I find a lot of people are just like, my stuff's great, just write me the check. And I think the ability to collaborate is what makes this filmmaking process able to go forward, because then people get really invested. And I think that's what happened.
Well, it's very exciting. Well, yeah, filmmaking it can't be just one person. You are really opening yourself up to so many other people, so many other personalities, so many other ideas. You know, and what I think is great is that you have your core idea and you were allowing things to blossom from that, which I thought was beautiful. You know, I know some people are like, no, you can't do that, or they're very strict on what they want to have, but I think they lose out on so much. So that you have your structure and your boundaries of what you want, but you're still allowing for growth. I think that's beautiful. So congratulations on that. That's very exciting.
Yeah, it's always negotiating that, you know, like what's going to contribute, at least being open to hear ideas. You may not take all the ideas, but at least be open to hearing them.
Right. Well, do you find that as women that men in the business, and I don't really want to talk about the sexes, but just from what I've been experiencing myself, do you find that they kind of give women a harder time in the position as
like mansplaining?
Yes.
Yeah.
Did you experience that, or was that
or dominating kind of thing?
Yeah, like
yes. I think women are more attuned to respectful collaborating. I think just by nature, you know, personality, that's something that women, you know, it is a kind of sweeping generalization. Because my partner Vernon is very sensitive, but you know, I think it's more naturally a female characteristic.
Yeah,
you know, that nurturing and that, you know, communication.
I to be honest, have found not quite the opposite to be true.
Oh, really?
You know, sometimes I find that men are a little bit easier, or they're a bit more relaxed about things, and not necessarily to a good
degree.
It doesn't necessarily mean that's a good thing. You know,
maybe the bottom line is that everybody's individual and that we're breaking rules on both sides, men and women. Because I'm thinking about, you know, years ago, I worked at Pepperdine University with the head of the theater department there. And he was the most open and trusting and easy collaborator ever that I've worked with. You know, he was so trusting. And he was like, yeah, you go ahead and you do that. And I'm going to go get you a coffee while you work. Like, there was so much trust.
Nice.
So I just made the sweeping generalization, but I'm thinking about him because there was no no competitiveness, and just like being open to whatever the best idea is in the room and not being threatened by that. But it takes a confidence
Yes.
to not be threatened by it.
All right. Well, what I think so great too, Serene, is that you say you're coming into this and you're kind of like building your crew, and the crew you attracted, you all seem to have that trust, where it doesn't matter man or woman, but you really, it's like it was a balance, like putting the pieces together, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, I mean, this is the kind of project you do because you are gravitated towards the material or the people. So I think people either were dying to work with Cate, dying to work with me, or liked the material. Hopefully 2 out of 3,
Yeah.
Well, there's some people that were dying to work with Cate, that's for sure. Definitely actors. Oh, no, I was just
what the combination was, ultimately, because there were a lot of new people that we didn't know how they were going to play together.
Right. Too. But I mean, we did have one actor, well, we didn't get to cast him, but people who are willing to travel far and wide to work with Cate, because she's such a fantastic director, and she really puts her actors first throughout. I mean, everything from not wanting to change schedules on people, just to making sure we had enough rehearsal time. And I mean, it was really the focus of everything were the actors, I think. But in terms of just everyone who worked on this, it's a low budget project. So people will do it because they feel gravitated towards the material. And I think with that comes a certain degree of trust, camaraderie, connection, something special that I'm looking forward to having bigger budgets. But there is something, I'm not going to forget what it feels like to have that feeling of like, for the love of the game. Because it's special. Yeah.
Oh my God. I just finished this book about Nora Ephron, and she was saying she had this tight budget of $25 million. I said, Serene, oh my God.
But we could do with $25 million.
$25 million.
But then I was talking to someone about James Cameron, who was just like, God, I got to make this $10 billion stretch, and I'm just going to go over budget. So I think you never feel like you have enough time or money.
Depends on because how far.
But yeah, 25 million, Cate, we're going to
oh my God.
do a lot with that.
All right. So you made a couple of references to the material. Do you want to talk a little bit about the material, about how that came about? Because I know it sounds, like very cutting edge to me anyway. It's not something that I've really seen anywhere. So what it kind of inspired that, and how much of that do you want to share?
Well, largely autobiographical, although not specifically in details. I do start with people that I know in terms of just a basis of characters, but then throughout it just changes. So in the very beginning, I'm always concerned, with the exception of my mother character, who I don't know how much I will elaborate, but played by Sophia. And I have to say, it was very special to have my actual mother in the room watching the two and I do these scenes of her telling her story. And I was so moved, because I said, if you're going to like it, it really meant a lot to me, because I think that of all the relationships in the film, that one is the most true to life, and the most really just handpicked. I mean, I really handpicked stuff from my mom's actual experience to put into those stories. And I think the cultural aspect, there's, I don't know what percentage of the film, but I'm Iraqi. I'm Iraqi mostly, but my mom did grow up in Iran, but she's still Iraqi. So I can say I'm Iraqi Persian, but I really identify with Iraqi and being Jewish. So anyway, it's a complicated Middle Eastern plot twist. But I had my aunties and my mom in the film, and that was very, very true. It was so true. It was so autobiographical for them. A few of them that were married off as teenagers, and just, what they went through. Some of them loved their husbands, some of them didn't. And just the feeling of what it's like being a woman with so many choices, not just career, but like entering into polyamory, which is what the film is about. The film is about, a female DJ who gets a taste. She meets a couple and gets a taste of like, oh, there's alternatives to relationships. Even though I'm in love with this perfect, amazing guy, we've been together a long time, I've never been with anyone else. And then, you meet a couple who's like, guess what? You can kind of have it all. Not really. That's what we come to find out. But it's like, I think that's what they tease her with, is that, oh, well, we have each other and we also get to play with other people, and it's this perfect, and they tease her, and it's sort of, so then she has to go home to the amazing partner and say, hey, I think I kind of want to try this, and he's supportive and cool enough to give it a shot. And it's sort of like what ensues after that. There's a lot of beautiful things, but then there's the painful side of it as well. And I think what we really set out to capture was both, that it's not about sexual exploration or love as much as it is about the freedom to have
choice.
Have terrible experiences. Because it's like you fight for this freedom to, I want to go out and try all these things, and then a lot of them are really terrible, a lot of them are really humiliating. But once you get that taste of freedom, my character has a line that says, you can't put the genie back in the bottle. So I think it becomes about the freedom at the end of the day.
Right. It's beautiful. I really like that. Well, I think freedom is so important right now. And I think it reflects so much what's happening, right now on so many levels for so many people. So I think it's going to be a very important film. I think it's going to be, well, first of all, I think it's going to be very sexy just for itself. And one, you are a very sexy young lady, and, just for seeing some of your videos, I'm like, dang, woman.
I think this was a very different portrayal of me, though. I was purposely.
I know, like you're an artist and you create, and that's what I love about both of you. You are both artists, and you leave your souls open for creation, whether it's writing or directing or producing, or Cate with your dancing and choreography. You both bring such a rich history within yourselves to the table, and you're creating this whole beautiful project. So I was honored to be part of it. Thank you very much.
So you were specially handpicked.
Yes.
Because we had the hardest time with that role, because it really had to be right.
Well, thank you.
So we held out. We held out to the last moment until we knew for sure.
And my family thought you were fantastic. They were just were singing your praises.
Yeah.
Which is great.
Well, I love that your family was so supportive too, because that really is rare. So you're very lucky and blessed to have that. And I know it's not always with family, so but that's very cool. So
the challenge of this, series, to put it into a 2-hour movie, and by the nature of the story being multiple relationships, typically in a rom-com, you'd have, maybe a I love him, but I want to be with him, kind of thing. How do we, authentically represent this community? So we did talk to poly experts, people publish books, people that counsel polyamorous couples, people that live in the community, to make sure that we were being as true representationally as possible. And then making sure that there's moments that are funny, that are awkward, that are scary, in terms of entertainment value. Right. So there's commercially viable, and also show that it doesn't always work out perfectly. It's not like, I'm free and it's all going to work out. So we had to combine characters. Like originally the scope of the story was just too big. The scope of the world was too big to do it in a 2-hour movie. And even when I was remembering some of our early conversations, you go, we can just knock that out. We can do this really quickly. And I'm thinking, how long it takes everything to set up in movies. It's like, we're going to run out of time and money to really do it. So I love that character. I know I do too. Well, let's give that person that line and let's put those together. And so the whole thing was like folding it on top of each other and folding it on top of each other, getting down to the essence of what we could within this round, knowing that a series could come from it. Each of these characters could have their own spin-off storylines. But let's get to the best, what's the essence of the story ultimately? And I think it was Oscar Wilde who said the enemy of art is the lack of limitations.
Yes.
So that by we put the limitations on it, like we have to get down to really like crystallizing, what's the heart of the story? What are we really getting down to? So that was a good challenge. It was hard. I mean, there's 25 drafts of the script.
Yeah.
And we did readings of it. We did readings of it as we were doing callbacks of actors.
Yeah.
And then realizing,
threw me in the water right away. Okay, we're going to do a reading. And I think about, the actors that were in the initial readings. I was like,
we have this character, and we go, oh my God, that's not the character. This character is really this. And so our casting changed through the actors that we were meeting. it would come to life in a certain way. And we think, oh my, I thought it was this, but this is really kind of more alive and vibrant. So it was a great to have that process. We saw a lot of actors. We saw over 4,000 actors.
Yeah. And, I think that the groundedness, I think that some of the relationships are very grounded and then others are just, wow, crazy, wacky. And I think if you had too much of one or too much of the other, that it would have been, okay, this is just crazy fantasy land, magical realism. But I think that the relationship that Lily has with her mom and then with her partner, Brian, really kind of ground the story into reality. And I think that was the most complicated. The relationship between Lily and Brian is kind of what most people are going to relate to, because I think most of the world, I don't know if they're ready for this kind of story yet. And I would not be surprised if the Lily character comes off as being, selfish, and I'm not necessarily sure what people will think, but that's what art is about pushing those boundaries. But I think in creating that relationship, and it's like, well, if your girlfriend comes to you and says she wants to do this, why would you say yes to that? And those are some very heavy sessions of figuring out how to make those scenes work, because if there wasn't
you don't want Brian to look like a doormat that he just says, oh, okay, and then everybody's like she said, is selfish, thinks she's selfish, and yeah, of course he's going to walk away,
right?
What's going to make him
and if there's
around.
And if they didn't really love each other, then it's just another breakup story. It's just another breakup rom-com love triangle, which we've seen a million times. And it was only, because that relationship being strong, that it was really kind of makes a different dynamic where it's like, okay, it's not just a breakup. It's a bigger sacrifice. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And a lot of conversations with the actors, how they made them feel.
We did a lot of writing sessions with the actor that played Brian, Chad, and it was very, okay, this is
he would just challenge it and go, I just wouldn't do that, so why would I do that?
Why am I saying yes to this? And I'm just, it was really great just to make it real like that, because it's like I said, most people are going to relate to that perspective.
But then at the same time, what I realized was how prevalent this community is. So many actors we auditioned were like, oh yeah, I dated a girl who was this, or yeah, or I am, or it was so prevalent, way more common than I realized. It's a whole wave, a whole new generation of more open-mindedness in relationship world.
Oh yeah, I mean, generationally, it's so common to. Yeah, I mean, it's just really interesting how much more acceptable it is. It's almost, because I think that things are there's a wave. You know?
And one of the experts we talked to, he was saying, yeah, my wife is such and such, and I have this girlfriend thing, and her girlfriend, and we're all meeting to go do a thing. And my mind was being blown. So I got off the phone with him, and it was like, oh my God, it was just like business as usual for him.
It seemed like everyone Cate met through a certain point that you would tell about the project seemed to be part of the community. Yes, I'm a BDSM guy. Oh, do you know about safe words? Oh, my wife's boyfriend's like.
Sophia, I don't even know if you knew that, one of the locations that we went to turns out was the ex-boyfriend of one of the other people that's in the community. I mean, there were all these connecting links of the people where we landed and the people that we were working with. Yes, more and more people in the community just were sort of drawn to this material, and we were drawn to their homes. It's like.
So I hope this means that you'll get a series out of this. If more and more people are, connecting and being drawn to the material, wouldn't you think that they'd want to have a series on, say, Netflix? Or
it's in the hands of the gods.
We're thinking it's like the Sex and the City, but for polyamory.
Yeah, it's ripe. The subject matter is ripe. There's plenty of material. And we had a beautiful cast. I kept saying, look at our cast. We have such a beautiful cast, eclectic, and everybody was so, you could see why you'd be drawn to these different people.
Yeah, you wanted to spend more time with everyone, more time getting deeper. And that's the thing. It's, if you look at a polyamory chart, one of our consultants, Franklin Vo, did this very cool non-monogamy chart, because polyamory is a title, but people don't really like the title because it's been misused, because what it's supposed to mean is multiple real love relationships. But there's people who just use it as an excuse to just date different people and not be ethical about it, to be swingers. So Franklin came up with this chart. I should send it to you if you want to include it. But it was all these different things of like swingers, unicorns, friends with benefits, this and that, and all these different versions, which is why the term ethical non-monogamy or consensual non-monogamy came about, because I think people needed a bigger title to it. So it's sort of like, just like a CSI procedural has infinite amount of content because there's always going to be another crime. I think there's always going to be another offshoot of something within this community. So it lends itself to infinite material. And if you have, like, I mean, not to use the Sex and the City model, but if you have these different archetypes who are like, this person wants no relationships, just wants sex. This person is very monogamous. That's why it's so important to have a monogamous character within it, because you need somebody to balance things off of, which, but yeah, having these different archetypes, it lends itself to an infinite amount of content. So
I'm curious. So what I love is that you brought a lot of truth, authenticity to what you create in your film. Would you say that people are generally very authentic in what they're doing, or do you feel that there's a lot that kind of
in the real world?
Yeah, and like in the real world with people.
I think no. I think they're not. I think that's what we were sort of expressing in the movie, is that, like, take what's his name, Guy's character. They're saying they're ethically non-monogamous, but yet he invites his girlfriend doesn't know about it.
Xander,
Xander, I couldn't think of Xander's character name. That he's acting as if he's ethical, but then, and he's talking about it, and he's a speaker and he's a pioneer in it, and yet he's breaking the rules already.
Very common.
And showing that, he's lying to his girlfriend about it. And she's like, I don't want to play with that. Or with Ross and Raven, they're the sort of sexy ones. And then they say that they're ethically non-monogamous, but then they're using her like they're swingers. They just kind of discard her. They don't invite her into a real relationship, a respectful relationship.
Right.
The people that are really doing it right are, they follow through with it.
Right.
They follow through with it, and they stay with those people, and they have, their own specific relationship with those different people, not just a toy for the night.
Right.
And I don't know if in that scene, if you remember that kitchen scene the next morning, Sophia, where they just kind of discard her. It's like, well, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of humiliating. I mean, that's what's interesting was for me playing a character that's, I don't want to say, I mean, I didn't really feel empowered until the end, but it was a lot of just being hurt, and that happens from people who say that they're communicating. And then, the interesting thing is one of the characters who you think he's a total jerk at first, but he's actually really honest. He's really like, hey, I'm just about this. I'm avoiding intimacy. I have my reasons. And, he ends up kind of being the most real person because he's being very upfront about it. Whereas a lot of the other people are like, well, we're these, incredible communicators, and they're not. And it's sort of, I really like playing with that idea where it's just like, oh man, the person who is actually the most honest comes across as a jerk at first, but then ends up being like, the person that Lily relates to most at the end, We did a big deep dive into this whole subject matter, reading different books, listening to different podcasts, talking to these specialists, just saying, what else did we not cover? And these terms, we kept learning about terms. And Serene, that's why these multiple drafts, about boundaries and, the rules of the game and things that come up, the type, the subject matter. Oh, we need to add this, Yeah. And I still think Lily did not do a great job at her job. And I would be surprised if the poly community doesn't think, hey, there's a lot of problems with this. Like, why didn't she communicate? It's just not that easy. It's like, there's this one scene where you're
not supposed to be expert at it. You're learning.
Right. Which is what Cate kept telling me it's okay. And I'm like, oh my God, they're going to hate this. Like, they're going to hate my character. This is just because
she's not perfect, and that's okay.
Yeah. I mean,
it's see somebody stumbling around. That's interesting.
I guess that's true. Because it's like, you think, okay, we're going to communicate. So it's time to communicate. But it's like when it really comes down to, telling your boyfriend, hey, I have a date tonight. Guess what? What are you doing? It's not that easy.
Right.
I love that line. What's the line you say? I have to tell him. I got to
Yes,
tell him.
I was just thinking of like, I gotta tell him. I want to tell him. I have to tell him. Oh fuck, I can't tell him. And it's
I
like,
love
she's
that.
reading the book, and it's like, and she's tiptoeing towards him. I gotta tell him. I want to tell him. No, I want it. I really know this is what, communication, and
I can't tell him.
it's, because you're championing these ideals, these values that you're reading about, that you're supposed to espouse, but you don't have maybe not just the tools, but the courage to go and tell this person that you're in love with, like I got to tell him. Yeah, I mean, it's so real.
I love that
moment.
It's funny how the human psyche is, because that goes so true in so many circumstances too, whether you're at work or with your best friend, or, I don't know if it's like the underlying thing, you don't want to hurt the other person, and if you're truthful, that's going to happen, and you don't want to deal with that part. I mean, there's so many different levels to it. And I think that's one of the things I really admire about this project is you're bringing it forth. It's like, we are flawed. We want to live with integrity and, in truth, but why does society make it so hard for us? Why is it so hard?
Because the casualties.
Right. And then, if you hurt someone's feelings, then it becomes like some people make it a whole big production, and you're like, I don't want to deal with that.
Mm-hmm.
So I can really see how, the non-communication happens, but to have that strength to be truthful and be able to follow through with whatever happens, that takes a lot of strength and courage. And I think what's so great is that you're putting it out there and modeling for people to say, okay, how do I live my truth to live my true authentic self, which I feel right now is something so many people are being faced with, as all these changes are happening. Okay, what is my truth?
Right.
And so I think this is great.
And I think it can be messy. That's why I kept saying to Serene, it can be messy.
Yeah.
Because if it was too perfect, it doesn't work like that in life, and there are sacrifices, and there are screw ups, and they're like, I blew it. And people will be more moved.
Exactly.
Because it's more accessible.
If
it's too perfect, it's untouchable. It's not believable as a character.
So I'm excited for both of you guys for doing this.
But I tell you, it was hard. We saw a lot of really good people, a lot of really interesting people, and that brought different flavors and colors and stuff. And
I think our casting process was
epic.
Yes. Yeah. And I think it really shows. I think we got so many compliments on your cast, and it was like everybody, single person,
all the people on the crew were saying these actors are really good.
Yeah. There was not a dud among them, among you guys. It was really, and right. So, I mean, there was, while I was writing drafts, Cate was looking over with a fine tooth comb, everybody's resume. And if any actors out there are watching, what surprised me was she was looking at theater training, because it's like, a lot of actors, we don't know, can you memorize a lot of lines? Do you want to do rehearsal? Do you want to do rehearsal? Or is that like, oh, this is a pain in the ass for me? Because, we're always looking for people that want to work, that want to do the work, not just the credit. And so I was really surprised. And there are a lot of things that I thought I needed on my actress or whatever, or I thought, who cares about theater, or who cares about me in my living room? I need something that's flashy. And then watching Cate really like dissect each person's, like going over and over and really looking, it's like, you never think anyone's giving you that much time. And I don't know if all directors do this. They probably don't to the level that she does, but really seeing that a lot of things that I would have thought were not that important in my reel, my resume, really were. And that's what separated, these are the people that can do rehearsals and that can memorize lines and who have training and who, what are their personality? What can they do? And it was good.
It's like, if someone's been through a tech rehearsal, for a theater production, they've got a certain level of patience and focus, that tells you about them. And also, because this is a more talky script, a lot more dialogue than a typical movie script.
Right.
So it's people that can handle language. It's really important.
Well, and people who are willing to do all these readings with us. I mean, we kept calling people back, and we did 3 full readings with actors.
That helped us so much with the script.
But as you're creating a film, though, there's so many elements to it. Okay, your DP, your lighting, your sound, your someone to help with the script, someone to help with the production, to make sure that, everyone's there where they're supposed to. The breaking down of scenes, what scenes are going to shoot first. I mean, the storyboarding, what kind of shots you want. I don't think a lot of people realize the amount of work that goes into play. And actors are great because they bring it to life, but everything you do to prepare for the actor before the actor even gets there.
Yes, it's massive.
Yeah,
it's a lot, just everything. But, I trained in Argentine tango, which is all these so you have to be able to get into the details and just keep breaking it down and breaking it down and breaking it down and putting those puzzle pieces together. It's just part of the deal.
Okay, so I have to ask, now that you've done the process, would you do it again?
Well, we're still in it. I mean, the movie is in the can, but now we're in post-production. So that's a whole other mountain to climb, another whole layer of details. And there's a music video that we need to shoot. So the movie is not over yet. I mean, we set up this metaverse and we haven't created that denouement at the end of the thing. So Serene and I are in boot camp dance training and trying to make sure the groove of the music and editing is happening. And then there will be, the mixing of that. And then there's the building of the site for the movie's website and promoting it on social media, which Serena's social media director.
Oh God! I mean, I have a team, but
not this week. But not this week. But it's massive. I directed another feature 13 years ago, and I remember at the end of it, I thought I won't do this again unless I'm really passionate about the piece, because I realized what the time commitment. I mean, we've already been working for a year on this process.
Cate and I have been working on it for a year, and I started on the original script 6 months prior to that. So that's how long.
So it's
a year and a half, and then another 6 months. I mean, I don't know, we're projecting, but I'm hoping for a Valentine's Day premiere.
Yeah, that I think it's possible. The thing is I remember when I finished that other movie, I thought I won't do this again unless it's a project that I can really see committing that amount of time to. Right. It is kind of daunting. And when you think about big studio films, this is a baby movie, really by comparison, just the scope of those things. But of course they have the money to hire these teams but it's a huge, big time commitment. Right. So I think it's about a story that you care enough about to invest in, and that you see the worth of the ride, Well, I think have a vision of what's possible.
Yeah. I mean, sorry not to piggyback on you, but for me as a writer, it's like, man, you put so much time into creating characters that sort of, one of the reasons I feel more led to episodic TV writing is because you want to stay with these people for a while. Both personally, I want to be back on set with these people as soon as I can. And so everything is in service to that. Everything is like, how soon can I get back on set as these characters with these people? That's my goal. Because it's, the reason why I'm not interested in cranking out feature after feature, why I'd like a good 2-3 years of a series, is because you do all this work to create these characters and you just want to put them in the sandbox together for a little while and just stay there. Mm-hmm. And it feels like with a feature, it feels like you spend a year cooking the meal, 5 minutes eating, and then another year cleaning it up. Mm-hmm. It's like, when can we eat again? When can we get back on set? So that's,
I totally get that.
That's how it feels. So now it's like, now we're cleaning up the kitchen. We got to get this thing out. And, meanwhile, I'm starting to work on.
You want to go see your friends again?
Yeah. And I've told the actors too. I'm like, you did the series with me because I'm already thinking about you, and it's really fun to.
Yeah, that's true. That is the beauty of that other medium.
Yeah. And I think we barely scratched the surface. I mean,
we did. We barely scratched the surface, because we ended up having to cut scenes. We had 11 days originally. And then we realized budget wise, we needed to get it down to 9 days. So we piggybacked days so that the days were packed, but we also cut a bunch of scenes. Mm-hmm. Completely cut them.
Yeah.
We snuck a few things back in when we were shooting.
Yeah. And I even have things from the original drafts. I have a file that's everything we cut, and it was like 50 pages, which is crazy, of initial things. I mean, I wrote a lot of flashbacks. I wrote this great how Lily and Brian met scene that I always feel I'm probably not even going to talk about it because we could shoot it sometime, but it's all this backstory, that you create, and just when you're writing that you have all this wealth of material that you don't get to see. but I like to think it's under the surface, and then it creates
Definitely.
Yeah.
Subtext. Yeah. And then a whole dating sequence. There was a very elaborate dating sequence, speed dating. That was the part that Serene was saying, oh, we can just knock this out real quick. And I was thinking, God, we had like 10 of those.
Yeah.
No, that's like another couple of days, you know, it's like.
I'm still attached to it. I'm not going to lie.
You can put that in the series. You can put that in the series.
I know, I'm still thinking we could just get another 10 grand and shoot those scenes we didn't do.
But then the movie would be too long, and then we'd have to cut it and throw it away. And, you know, then you would have shot it and not be able to use it because you have a 4-hour movie.
Yeah. Yeah. But there was
and that's already going to be hard.
Scene. There's one comedic scene we almost cut, and everyone is in love with it. So, you know,
Which one?
It's when Lily meets Tyler and Chase is there. The Chase.
Oh, I love that scene.
Yes. See, that was one where, you know, we had some drama people who are like, does this really serve the story? Do we really need this?
I always love that scene.
I know. I love it too. I'm really excited about it. And it was one of the last ones we did. And I think it was just kind of blew everyone. It's a bad date. And then
actually, it isn't a bad date. It's a good date gone bad.
It's a good date gone bad, gone good.
Right.
Yes. So, but I think we need to see a little bit of that. You know, one of the bummers about cutting the dating scene was just, it was a series of bad sort of coming to America type Tinder dates that she goes on that I think is very relatable. But the problem was it didn't get to the heart of the characters, and you know,
and it was just this world of players on no money,
literally,
just to try to rein it in.
Well, see, lots of material for a series. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question. If you say you do get a series, would you want to be the lead, Serene, or would you want to be the writer? Or
oh yeah, no, I definitely. I mean, if people can't, you know, don't get sick of seeing me, I would love to. I'm not really in the writing game to just sell things. I'm not interested in like go do another rewrite and live in your pajamas for another 3 months. I write so that I can act. And even though I do other projects that people write for me, I think that the two things for me are most of the time very much connected. So I would definitely like to keep doing that. It's hard being the straight person, you know, it's hard being the Seinfeld or the Sarah Jessica Parker, because it's like I often find I'm the least interesting, fun person in this scene. And I purposely write great characters so that I want to write things that other actors are dying to play. And a lot of, you know, times I feel like, oh, this is great for them. I am so connected to the people that my actors, I get so inspired. I mean, we did a lot of audition tapes, and then I would watch people's tapes back, and I would search for certain language things that they would say that I could incorporate to make it not only more natural for them, but so that every character doesn't sound like me. And it's just these little expressions where it's like, oh my God, I never use that expression. And, you know, otherwise everyone's going to say, oh, that's super awesome, and just sound like my voice. You know, so I mean, I do get very inspired writing for other people, but I mean, my dream is just an ensemble cast where I'm in it. I could be the center, but everyone else is very strong, and that I know how I relate to each character, and they bring out something different in me. And that was really the goal in this. So I definitely want to keep going with that.
Very cool. I like that. All right. So, Cate, I have to ask you the same question. Would you know if the series gets picked up, would you want to be a director on it? Or
sure, yeah, just more time to play and work and play.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's true what Serene was saying about for me, that'd be like theater. It'd be like the live experience again, which is really where my roots are. So, and to be able to have a new script every week. I mean, I did some choreography work on the show Frasier, and they'd line up the producers, you know, in the chairs, and everybody gave feedback on the script. But that process of coming in and working on a set is very much theater related. So for me, that would just be, it would be totally fun, and it pays beautifully, and production support. So yeah, it would be a great gift at the end of this effort to have that opportunity.
And we wouldn't have to do all the producing.
We wouldn't have to. We could have other people doing it.
Can you imagine?
Each wearing like 15 hats.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard.
I mean, if Cate just
casting director, producer, location scout, you know.
I mean, if she was only directing and I was only writing and acting, I can't even imagine what we could have. We could crank out a series, you know, I think.
Absolutely. I mean, it was a lot of work. You're right. you know, when you say, would we do it again, you know, at
Like
this
this.
level, you know,
Yes.
I don't know if I want to do it again at this
level.
level on our own.
Yeah.
Because it was hard. It is hard. We're still going.
Mhm.
But, you know, if that's what it takes to have an opportunity,
Mhm.
you know, if it's a calling card or a great idea, and then you're all invited into play, you know, on another level with the support. Yeah, sure. Why not?
Well, I think you came up with it's a beautiful story, a beautiful script. What I've seen of it, amazing people, incredible energy. You know, you all came at it with such passion, which I think with any project that elevates it just on its own, just having that kind of energy. So I can really see this as a series.
Let's put it out there. Put it out there.
On Netflix, I kind of see it fitting on Netflix.
Mhm.
You know, so I really hope, you know, the
Yo,
right
Netflixer.
I really hope the right people see this and that it really happens. And I can't wait to see your finished project. I'm so
I know.
I
I'm
know.
excited too.
I haven't seen anything.
Yes.
I have there was one scene I was not in that I watched being filmed.
Yeah.
Which
Wow.
thing?
So the Xander and Anna podcast.
Oh, okay.
I'm like
your
at
little moment.
Crafty, drinking coffee, like talking to the crew. Didn't not like get Serene into makeup, you know.
Yeah, she had 35 costumes in this movie.
Oh God, more. It turned out to be about 40 with all the little.
Oh, was it? Okay, 40.
Yeah. In fact, that was a huge part of my job. When I think about the act, every night I had this box of costumes that would have to take out and arrange and put 10 new costumes for the next day, shoes, earrings, everything. It took about 3 hours a night that I could have been working on my scripts.
We did so many hours of costume and hair discussions, and
yes,
just hours and hours and hours and hours of discussions about it. Like, I can't even tell you how many hours.
I did like massive photo sessions. I would stay up all night and just trying all these different outfits and sending them to Cate.
We go
Like
oh,
that.
yes,
Don't
yes,
like that.
I like that with
that.
this.
Yeah.
And again, finding the crossover style, you know.
Yes.
And what is the style of this movie? You know, is it sexy? Is it quirky? Is it funny? Is it moving? Yes, it's all those things. Okay, so what does that look like?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, we don't even know what the poster could look. We don't.
Yeah, that's another whole discussion.
We don't know even what it. I haven't seen anything, so I don't know. But in terms of, people are like, well, what is this movie like? And
when people say to compare it to something else, I can't really compare it to anything else, but I think that's a good thing because, it's going to be its own thing.
And then it will become the movie that other people compare their movies to.
Yes.
Right. So that's,
it's
funny. People always ask, what movie is it like?
Yeah.
Why?
Actually, we had big discussions about that, and I just couldn't really do it. Actually with Natalie's editing, I just was like, I can't really tell you. It's like this movie's got elements of this and elements of this, but it's not really any other movie, which I think is good.
I think so too. I think that's great. I love that. And those are the movies I want to see. I don't want to see, a redo of something.
Yeah.
I think that's why it's good to not oversaturate yourself with things that are in the subject that you're working in until you're ready to. Maybe that's the difference between producers and writers, is that sometimes I work with a producer and they'll say, so, okay, well, go watch 15 polyamory things. And it's like, first of all, I'm either going to think they're terrible or I'm going to think they're so good that I can't touch this.
Right.
And either way, you're going to get immobilized, so sometimes it's good to be limited as a creator and work in a bubble, because then you're not constantly comparing. I like drawing influences from things that are like way on the other side of something. I watch a lot of period stuff. I don't watch a lot of contemporary comedy like I should. And people are always like, oh, you're like this, and did you see this? And it's like, no, I'm actually, I'm watching The Tudors or something. And I don't know, it's just, you find resonance with it. It's like, yeah, I listened to a lot of Beethoven while I was writing the script. How weird is that? But I don't know what that
I didn't know that. I didn't know you were listening to Beethoven.
Oh yeah. I listen to a lot of classical music.
And it's also too, you don't want to necessarily, you want to be inspired by other things, but you don't want to it takes away your pure expression. Right. So you have to be careful how much of that, are you borrowing too much from other people, or are they inspiring new things?
Yeah.
I think that goes with everything, any work that I do on stage or choreographically, you want to see what other people did with stuff to get ideas.
Yeah.
But you want to be original too. So I think we all borrow and are influenced by everybody else, but then how do you make it your own?
Exactly. Yeah.
And I think that's what a producer's job is to know what's out there and to know how to sell something. And I think that's why I don't consider I'm a producer on this level, but that's the difference to me between like, being a creator and wanting to stay in the bubble versus like knowing what's out there. And I don't know. I see a distinction between those two things.
Mm-hmm.
But still you bring them all together.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I'm very excited for both of you, and I can't wait to see this. And there are so many things about each of you that I would love to dive into, but I know we're already at an hour. It's like, wow, where did time go? So I want to say thank you so much for joining me, and I would love to have you back on again when the film comes out or about to come out. If we can get together again and talk.
We'd love that.
Yeah.
About it, and I see great things happening with it. I really do, and I'm not just saying that. I think it's a very interesting story how it all came together and how both of you put so much of your entire being into it, which I think
that we did.
And you have to. I think when you're doing something like that, you can't do it halfway. You did it.
There's no way.
Yeah.
So I'm very proud of both of you.
And we are delighted and proud of you to have been part of it.
Yes, you saved the day. You're our last missing piece at the end.
So you were literally the last piece of the puzzle.
Yeah.
You were.
Oh, well, thank you.
We were holding out. I said, nope, let's get that right person. So the cherry on the sundae.
Well, thank you so much. All right, so I would love to share your website, each of you. There is not yet a site for the film, but that's okay. I'm sure it'll come out on social media later. Serene, can I go ahead and put all your websites down to you? It's like,
yeah. And we do have an Instagram for the movie.
Okay. And
IMDb, well, it's not up yet, but it will be this week.
Yeah, we're building our own
getting there.
schedule of things.
Okay.
It's kind of slow, but we have Unicorn Diaries, the movie is pretty much our handle on everything. So on TikTok, Instagram.
Video clips on, and you have a show on Amazon Prime.
Yes. Yeah, I do. It's called Pop and Spin. It's a rave comedy, kind of sketch comedy meets rave world. I play a few characters on there.
Oh, how
plus
fun.
play myself and then a few others.
Oh, that's awesome. And do you have another show live every week with somebody? Is that still going? Or
is it my Sex, Tech, Magic, and Mayhem show? The weekly one.
See,
you're living that right now.
Yes, Sex, Tech, Magic, and Mayhem. Yes. That is a project that I started, and when this film got greenlit, I had to table it. So it's going to be the next thing that I do once we're really fully in the can on this one. But yeah, that's
not enough hours in the day.
Yes, exactly. But it's written, and I've had the interviews ready, so it's that's one of the things I've learned is just on this level I can't it's just so good to working on this project. That was all that I could do. And even still, as much as I'm an Aquarius, so we're always kind of bouncing around wanting to do different things, but it's just so good to stay focused on something on this level.
Well, and then you always could have other ideas. So when that one's done, you jump into something else, or always being open. And Cate, you're working with theater right now?
Yeah, I'm about to. I'm in the middle of casting. While we were shooting, I had a play that was running that closed.
Yes.
Lobby Hero.
Incredible.
And then right now I'm casting Guess Who's Coming to Dinner for Theater 40, and then I'm in pre-production for Garbo's Latin Lover, which is a play that'll happen at the top of the year. After our movie is cut. It'll be after our movie is cut, but I may be in rehearsal for that while we're doing music stuff.
Wow. Cool. You mean top of the year, meaning January?
It actually opens early February.
Wow. Aha. So that could be right when our premiere happens.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that we have a great premiere on Valentine's Day and do some of the big film festivals.
Yeah.
Rebecca is what I'm hoping for.
Yeah.
Because I want to go to New York.
Put it out there.
But we do have a place to do a New York premiere as well. So I think
we do?
that'd be really fun. Yeah. Well,
I don't know if you
we're
told me
working
about
on it.
Okay. I'll hear more about that later.
Yes, it's in the works, but we're hoping for a premiere there too. I think that we need to, one of the things I learned on my last project is we just did not have enough cast parties. We didn't celebrate. We didn't pop enough champagne. And so this one, I want to change that so that we're premiering, we're doing as much as we can to enjoy what we did. Cause it's like, you don't get enough time with people. You just don't, that you work with. You just want more. I mean, the reason why I'm not a novelist is because of how much I love people. I'm such an extrovert. So I just, the more that we can be celebrating and sharing it, the better.
Right, that's great. Well, you have a lot to celebrate. You both have put in so much work in this. So yeah, you have to celebrate life, period, as often as you can, daily.
Yes.
No matter what, just find that time to celebrate no matter what.
Absolutely.
So, thank you so very much. Mwah, I love you both. And I look forward to having you both again. And I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, ladies. I will talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon. Lots of love to you.